Did you know where this podcast was invented? Not necessarily invented, but the idea for where this podcast got its genesis. Because you might think it came from a conversation. You might think that it came from me working, doing a bunch of stuff on my computer, all of those things that could happen and kind of make sense a little bit. But let me tell you, it had nothing to do with that. It was about this time last year, and I was sitting at my desk. I hadn't really figured out how I was going to be an online entrepreneur yet. I had ideas, but nothing was really sticking. And I was sitting at my desk, and I'm just like, this isn't working. And I had a lot of stuff to do that day. Stuff, and I say busy work because it's just busy work that wasn't generating any revenue. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to go on a bike ride with the kids. And in that moment, nothing happened. It was a normal moment of saying, hey, let's go on a bike ride with the kids. But just a few minutes into that bike ride, I had this idea for, hey, I could actually do a daily stay-at-home dad podcast. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm learning to be a stay-at-home dad. I think this could work. What a great idea. That idea baked, kind of marinated over the next 6 months and became this podcast, The Business of Fatherhood. The part that I want to illuminate today is that we often just kind of get confused on where really life happens. I got so confused in those early months of trying to figure this out and months of lockdown and remembering where life really happens. Life really happens when you're moving, when you're doing, when you're connecting with the people in your life that are important. So much of that moment is where you're going to have your best ideas. It's where you're going to have the inspiration for what you really want to do. Now, why is that? Because it's not normal. It doesn't feel normal. It's not generally what someone, if you were to go up on the street, tells you where to go get good ideas. But the part that I've learned over the process of repeating this in different places, because other ideas have come by doing very similar things, is that kind of when you're in that space of being dad. So when I was out there on that bike ride, being dad, flowing with the energy of the kids, the excitement of their seeing their faces, the warm sun hitting my skin, my face, all of that is kind of like the juice of life. It's where you really feel like, yes, this is something special. This is why life is awesome. Because you get to create those memories, you get to create those moments, and you just get to be in those moments. And the part that we get wrong is when we're in that juicy moment, when life is just really flowing and we feel like, man, this is who I am. That's where we have the best connection to what we really need to move forward with. That's where you're going to have the best connection to your future, to what you want that clarity to look like in a year from now. All of those things solidify who you are. But so many men still sit at the office, still sit at their desk. I know, because I was a recovering sit-aholic. Just pretending that sitting there was somehow being productive. That somehow sitting there was this way to imagine that I was being interactive with my life. But it wasn't. Because the one thing that I didn't do is I didn't acknowledge that I can give myself permission to have both. I felt like it was this or statement that as a dad, as a provider, to protect and make sure my family is safe and secure, I had to be here, that place was where I was supposed to be. But overall, that wasn't true. My best ideas, the things that have really juiced me up to keep going, is this idea that my life happens when I'm being myself. Which is why, if you ever ask me, do I try to focus on being dad more, or do I try to focus on the business more? This summer, it's always been dad mode. I always err on dad mode because in most cases, the work that whatever I think I need to do isn't that really important, and it'll wait, or maybe it'll go away. It's just my perception that I need to be here at this desk to feel value. And that's not true. Value happens when you're connecting with the most important components of your life. And because of that simple, screw it, I'm going to go for a bike ride, this podcast exists. And now at episode 88, we're continuing to grow. Like, That's 88 episodes that never would have happened. And that happened because I said, screw it, I'm going for a bike ride. So, the homework. Take a look in your life. Where are you not kind of plugging in? And maybe if you're feeling stuck, where could you plug in somewhere that you know you feel really juicy? Whether it's going fishing, whether it's connecting at a swimming pool, any of those moments, going hiking, wherever you feel the most alive and connected to what matters most, go there. Get perspective. And probably, most likely, you'll see something that you've needed to do or start doing for a long time, but you couldn't see it because you didn't go to that place. And I'm back with you guys again tomorrow.